Hey guys, Paco the Realtor, and this is podcast 36. And today we're going to talk about how we let a generation down, the millennials, when it comes to real estate, what the problem is, and how we can fix it. I think the millennials is one of the first generations that we could say that they might not be better off the generation before them. And that's not what we want for the American dream. And a lot of it has to do with real estate. The average millennial is 36 years old. They cannot afford to buy a house. They're getting married later. They're having kids later for financial reasons. Their future is not looking bright. They are the least, since they don't own real estate, their future wealth is limited. They are able to buy less stocks because of it. They definitely have more in student loans. They have less opportunities. They tend to live with someone else or their parents longer. And all this goes back to something that was set up years ago. Real estate is a way we get out of the poverty cycle and into wealth. And it used to be that if you had a job, you could afford to buy a house. Well, that is not the case. And what happened was that after the 2008 market crash, things changed. The developers changed, the cities changed, and the changes they made unknowingly affected our future. So what happened was after the 2008 market crash, a lot of houses went into foreclosure. A lot of people lost their houses, and a lot of cities got dealt a lot of empty homes for years that were issues for homelessness, issues for people breaking in, drug use, drug houses, you name it. So what they started to do is they started to change code. They made a decision that they only wanted higher income people living in their communities. So every house that was built went from a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square foot house, starter home that anybody can afford. It went to a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,000 square foot house that cost twice as much. In doing so, the developers in the city did get what they wanted. The developer got more money for the houses they were building, and the city got people that were higher income and more property taxes. The problem is that the first-time buyers were completely left out because there was no more inventory being built for them. The starter home. Now, today, the starter home is a townhouse that is 1 bedroom, 1.5 bath, 850 square feet for $500,000. That is now the starter home. And a lot of those are not being built. So there's a lot of competition for them. You have Melrose, which is a higher tax base, and you have an HOA of $200 to $300 potentially. So if the millennials have more debt, homes are more expensive, interest rates are higher, no wonder they're taking longer to get married, have kids, and buy a house. Remember, the average first-time buyer now is 38 years old, which is 10 years older than it was 20 years ago. We need to start to change this now. And how do we do this? By forcing developers and cities to start building the 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1,300 square foot house at an affordable price. That's how we do it. The developer doesn't want to do it because they make more money building the bigger house. The city doesn't want to do it because they want people with more money moving into their communities. But what ends up happening? Well, this millennial who makes $90,000, $100,000 a year ends up renting. Not buying, renting. They never establish equity. They never establish themselves in future wealth. They won't they make it almost impossible for them to purchase, let alone pay their student debt off, the student loan off. So what I propose, or what I'm saying we need to do, is we need to change and bring the starter home back, whatever that looks like. 2 to 3 bedroom, 1,300 square foot house, affordable. We have to force the developers to start to build those. And the cities have to be okay with that. If we want our future generations to be able to create this wealth, we have to give them an opportunity. Because right now, the only ones who can afford and are taking advantage are the ones that are married, 2 incomes, or corporate America. Corporate America is buying up real estate and renting it to the millennials because they know they can't buy. And they're the ones making the equity. And this is wrong at so many levels. Real estate has always been the American dream. And we need to remind people of that. And it starts at the local level with the cities, and it starts at the local level with the developers. Now, money talks. So how do you get a city to not build bigger homes that make them more money? How do you get developers to build smaller homes that they're going to sell for less money? That's the real question. But that's where we need to start having that conversation. What does that look like? What are the long-term benefits to a community for having these starter homes? And I think that conversation needs to have. And I would be curious to see what ideas people come up with on what that looks like, or potentially can look like. Let's start having the conversation, and let's see where this goes.